In 2005 I left Waterford Crystal and I came to WIT to work as basically sports manager. And the concept then was that at that time WIT had this 180-acre site in Carrick-on-Ore, and the idea was that 50 acres of it would be set aside for a sports facility. I don't think anybody at that time envisaged the sports facility that would eventually be built. Carrick-on-Ore is a subdivision of a greater townland called Woodstown. Woodstown is about 460 acres. And when they were building the bypass along by the river shore, they actually discovered an old Viking site dating back to over 1,000 years. And it's reasonable to believe that the Vikings were around this area. But it's actually reasonable to believe that they were on the land that is now the sports campus.
When Mick came into the office one day and he had a concept of a brand and a logo that would encompass the look of the Vikings and that all-encompassing feel of, Waterford, he sold me on it, and as in his enthusiasm and his drive around it, I suppose you couldn't help but just be enthused by it. We looked at kind of 9 key areas or key elements, so things like truth, honour, courage, self-reliance, perseverance, industriousness, discipline, faithfulness and hospitality. And the brand just started to evolve and started to grow, and that all became a part of it, and that was all we felt reflective in our sports people, in our students, across the board. The next phase was to actually launch the brand, and so we had a fantastic night in the WIT arena where we had special guests such as Michael Brick Walsh, former alumni, current student Phil Healy, and Kevin Doyle, former international soccer player who was in on the night. But that was accompanied by our students and our staff, and there was a real sense of a kind of a coming together of the brand, and that was the starting point. That was where it all began. When you look at the WIT Vikings, the key theme, that sense of place and that sense of identity has been hugely important in the developing of the brand. And I guess, it's synonymous with it that you talk about the WIT Arena being the home of the WIT Vikings. In my mind, I envisage it was more than just the logo. It had to represent a lot more than that. That was where the whole concept of the Vikings podcast, the Vikings TV, the e-magazine, that consistency of content.
It was a lot of work and a lot of effort by a lot of people at the time. I suppose the success of anything is it recognisable? Is it instantly recognisable? And I think as a brand, yes, we are now. As I said, it would probably take about 5 years to really get sort of to a stage where people recognised it.
It's given that sense of identity and that connectedness to place. I think that for me, which was maybe the 2 very simplistic aims at the start of what was tried to achieve with the introduction of the brand, but I think that has been achieved. I have now heard students identifying as a WIT Viking.
Everybody wants to be part of something that's bigger than themselves, and that's the concept of a team. So you create your team, you create your brand. So Vikings is the team, whether it's the professional staff within the college or whether it's the players on the teams. Everybody becomes part of the Vikings. And that's where you really get your benefit at the end of the day. That's where you get that extra little bit at the end of a game if you can pull people together and they're all part of that team.
A brand is only as strong as its consistency, in my opinion, and the work that went in behind that and in relation to getting that message out there was huge. And then to see it evolve into the WIT Vikings food hall, a new building on site. It's important, and having the brand is great, but what it reflects is another thing. And I think since the induction of the brand, I think that standards have gone up another level. How we go, how we conduct ourselves, I think that's been massive, and I see that in our teams, I see that in our day-to-day operations, that our standards have improved across the board, and I think that's been hugely important.
You have to brand something, and you have to brand it with something that's very recognisable and easy. Everybody buys into the concept of being a Viking.